Paul, Deluded, I'm back again. Now, sorry to beat a dead horse here, but fans, and specific to my club, Arsenal, this ain't a negative vid, this ain't me saying anything about the fans and all of these sort of things, but I will say, I do think, we're right to voice our concerns. We're right to have concerns specifically about Arsenal, specifically how we are performing as a club right now and have been for a number of seasons. We are 100% right. But I do believe in the same way we praise and critique the board, we do the same for the manager, the departed Emery, big case. That name divides opinion regardless of if you believe he needed to go or not, people. Obviously, the players are the ones playing at the end of the day. Each game that comes, yeah, you get what I'm saying. We're going to critique and praise where fit. Now, I do think fans were doing all of that, but I don't think fans, and I try to do it speaking for myself, we need to look a bit inwards and we need to hold ourselves accountable to that same point. I do think fans can't be pleased to a degree. Now, there is obviously a logical fans, there is obviously frustration, yeah? And I'm not looking, let's take the Norwich game. Now, for me, Pepe should have played some capacity, yeah? But certain people will say what I just said then, but be saying he shouldn't have played this game, he shouldn't have played that game. Did you see what I'm going? Like, 1 minute Pepe shouldn't be in the side, then you're going ballistic that he's not involved. That's just one case. Clearly we know he's a 72 million man. He hasn't hit the heights as projected. He's not doing the business right now. I do think fans have to be a bit logical and concede that football is a squad game nowadays, people. Specifically at Arsenal. Like, don't get me wrong. 9 times out of 10, of course I would love to play specifically the top 6 sides. Lacazette, Aubameyang, Pepe, Ozil's in the side regardless of what we do with his future, but in terms of the creative football and engineer to allow the front men to do their madness, Mesut Ozil and the rest of them, people, I'd love to play like that 9 times out of 10, play what I describe and I have described in my YouTube career as Wenger ball with aggression, because I'm a Wenger baby. I've seen 3 managers now in my lifetime at 24 years of age as an Arsenal fan, which is weird. Ljungberg technically, Emery and Wenger now, people, which it's weird. But I'm a Wenger baby. For whatever people say about Wenger, I grew up on Wenger. I have nothing, I can wax lyrical about Wenger. He's a big reason as to why I see the game, how I see it. I would love us to play what I would describe Wenger ball with aggression. We mix what Liverpool have, or Liverpool kind of moved away by their own standards, but you know when Klopp was more about that aggression, that winning the ball back. Obviously, they're still doing that. But you marry them two together, the poetry in motion with the aggression. Of course, defending, we're not going to get into that, but defending, we need to improve at that. And that's what I would want. To do that, I need them players. And that's how I would like to play out 38 games for 30 of them, 20 to 30 of them. But there's going to be games where it might not be for Mesut Ozil. We've got to have a bit more steel in midfield. Aubameyang, it's not going to be a game where, even though we don't play to his strengths, although he scores goals, we're not playing it over the top to him, so there's no space. So we might have to throw Lacazette in there. Lacazette, you might not be able to play in this game because obviously you're good technically in that, but it's not really the game, so you drop him out. Pepe, again, for me, he plays every day of the week, because why he hasn't hit the form, we've spent 70 odd million in terms of a future outlay. You might as well run with it and let him play through his form. But some games it's not for him. Do you get what I'm saying? So I do think fans have to rein it in a bit, man. It's like we've got some rich attacking players. First and foremost, the players that play are the ones that should be doing the business. Aubameyang does the business, so he starts. But other than that, spots are earned. Saka was doing his thing. He's dropped out of form, so he hasn't started. So he shouldn't really start right about now. Do you get it? I'm a big Rob Holding fan. He's not doing the business. His time will come, but he's not doing the business, so he shouldn't start. Centre half, as you know, as an Arsenal fan, is a unique case because all of them are terrible and there's not really one outstanding person. And I don't want to say it's a concern and throw Mavropanos into it because I'm just a fan. I don't see behind the scenes, but I have to say, excluding Mavropanos' injuries and them things there, people, what isn't he showing, for example, to get an opportunity in the team? Do you get it? I don't think he's perfect. He's made a couple mistakes when I have seen him play that have cost Arsenal, but do you get where I'm going? I think fans do have to rein it in a bit. On the topic of Pepe, now Pepe, for me, we've got no choice but to play him and hope that he bangs into form. There might come a time where, if we're here in a year or so, we have to think about cutting our losses. How we can cut our losses, I'm not too sure. You heard even Atletico Madrid's scout the other day saying they're upset they didn't conclude the deal for Pepe and someone else in relation to Atletico's thing. You know he was monitored by a couple other clubs. Couple fans of rival clubs that wanted him after seeing his great form in France, probably thinking, wait, we dodged a bullet, you know. Similar to how Thomas Lemar is looking at Atletico Madrid, ironically, now as well. Previously linked with Arsenal and a mad bid on deadline day, allegedly, but it didn't come to anything. we've got to play him through this form now. Like, obviously, Pepe, listen, he could have went to other clubs and whatnot. He came to the Premier League. He came to Arsenal, where we'll never know. If, at the end of the day, there's interest is subjective. There's a difference between being interested in a player and having an ear to what's going on and actually putting money on the table. That's the case of football. Many clubs are interested in players and looking at players. Money on the table is a different thing. So we'll never know if we were the team that specifically were the only ones to put money on the table for Pepe. And I'd also say that about Ndombele of Spurs as well, because I was wondering, I wouldn't say they had a free run, but it looked like they had a free run to his signature. And I wouldn't say he's hit the heights at Spurs, but for me, he's doing his thing at Spurs and he looks like a baller. So we'll never know if people saw Pepe and thought, nah, there might be concerns. And them same concerns are on the football field for Arsenal right now. We'll never know, people. But for me, looking at Pepe, I have to say, hearing Emery's comments about how he's surprised by his slow start. Okay, you're surprised by his slow start. But I'd say, did you or the club do the due diligence? Because players shouldn't be given 6 months to show good games or not. You can see a dud or not. He obviously moving to London, the league, the way Arsenal is, he could have joined more reputable clubs. The way Arsenal is, allegedly, the way Arsenal is as a club, we're not challenging for titles, we're not Arsenal of old. So he's going to be in the mad thing and not be able to necessarily thrive, like you're seeing right now, ironically. We had to have factored in it's a new league, and obviously, being an attacking player, it is going to be a culture shock. Obviously in France, let's cut the crap, you do get slightly more time on the ball. There's obviously aggression with defenders, etc, etc. But in my opinion, you get more time on the ball. Coming to the Prem, he was probably shocked by how little time you get on the ball, because I personally, in my opinion, I've seen that watching him live. I'm watching it, he does his thing, but he probably struggled with that. Struggled potentially. Obviously in France, when you play some smaller clubs, they're all passionate and whatnot. But I think he took a culture clash to seeing how, like, man, whether it's a Brighton fan, Man United versus Arsenal, Brighton versus Arsenal, players and fans, 9 times out of 10, they're up for it. It's aggression, it's the Premier League, do you get it? So he's taking that. He obviously has to adapt to his teammates. Think about it logically. If you play for one Sunday League team, people, you're a winger, boom, you join the next team. Obviously, if you're sick, you should still be scoring goals. But you got to learn, alright, cool. I was playing in the ends with Jamal and Tyrese. Now I'm playing with Alfie and at Wolfram Abbey. How does Alfie like to play? He likes it in behind, yeah? Say nothing. Let's see the sort of runs he makes. How can we gel? People underestimate getting to know your teammate and gelling as a team. And I think a big part of that is actually transfers, people. Everybody screams new, new, new. Nobody necessarily screams with working what you have or really pays attention to improving. Obviously, when you see what Liverpool's doing or Brendan Rodgers at Leicester, it's highlighted, it's the cool thing. But I do think generally in England it's not frowned upon, but actually improving players, whether you've bought them new or you've sourced them from an academy, isn't necessarily given as much praise as going out and fixing a 72 million man and bringing them in. Obviously stars, shirts, we all want to see stars. For me, I'd love Neymar, Suarez, Lionel Messi, all of these guys at Arsenal. Who wouldn't at their club? Obviously we know that can't happen. But we had to factor it in. The player he's sort of been, he's going to be heavily marked. He's still getting to know his teammates, how Aubameyang and Lacazette played. Fact is, them three, for example, while they shouldn't play every game, for example, Lacazette should be dropped, in my opinion, for Pepe and Martinelli with Aubameyang. They've only played twice, forgive me if I'm wrong, like twice together, all three on the field at the same time. So they haven't played 90 minutes together. Yeah, they can train and they both speak French, and all of these things, but playing in it, gelling, do you get it? You see Liverpool, they clearly had a plan when they were piecing their thing with Mane, Salah and them lot together. They bought them, they gelled with them. Our situation is different, and regardless of if it's that front three or different combinations, there's not really gelling at this club like that, people, as you guys already know. So did we do our due diligence? Did we factor in a potential settling in period of 6 months, people, to let them get to it? I want Pepe to be a big player. I think he can. I'm not saying he's going to be an Arsenal legend or anything close. That's a massive statement. I'd be a fool. And ironically, the name that my username is, Deluded, if I did say he's going to go on to that. I hope he does that. But if Perez, who's said his first year in England was more or less a dead thing, really. If Perez, Bergkamp, Thierry, and I'm sure you can insert many names, whether you're an Arsenal fan or not, were cast off after 6 months, where would they be? Similar to Aubameyang, I think Pepe kind of struggles with how we're playing as a team. I've told you, like, Aubameyang's a baller, but it's a miracle that man is scoring 20 league goals minimum at this club, because he's playing on flanks. We don't play to his strengths. We don't play the Arsenal football. There's not really any service to man. It's a miracle on top of him being a baller. I don't think we play to Pepe's strengths, because he can play the patient football. He can play in tight spaces. You can see he's pretty comfortable with the ball at his feet. But for me, Pepe is best when he's got freedom. When not just him, but other players, their movement is provoking disjointedness in the opposition structure, and they're able to come in. For instance, Pepe's a winger, but he likes to come inside. So we need to get that gelling. Like when he wants to come inside, Bellerin or whoever is right back, devastating effect sort of thing. It's a squad game. As much as I'd like Pepe to start every game, regardless of if he's hit the heights or not, sometimes it's not going to be a game for him. It might be for Saka, it might be for Nelson, and I'm just throwing random scenarios. It might be a game for two strikers, Aubameyang and Lacazette. That's the game plan. We're going with them. With that, we're conceding more midfielders, especially with our attacking options. Even if we was to go out, and people are even saying to sign another winger, people have made their sort of case up over Mesut Ozil. But if we sign another creative midfielder and we slap, let's just say, a new winger, creative midfielder on top of Pepe, Lacazette, Aubameyang. Many people say they sell Lacazette, sorry people. But if we look at that logically, 38 Premier League games minimum, right? However much is in all comps is in all comps. You can't expect every man to be on the same field at the same time. And I know the vast majority of you don't expect that. My point is, you have to accept people are going to miss out. Do you not expect here? Obviously, Klopp, then he must have ways of strengthening his team. Do you not think if he was given, like you hear them linked with Mbappe, let's just take the fact they signed Mbappe and they're linked with a creative midfielder. Let's just say if they signed Fekir and Mbappe in this mad world, innit? Or Jadon Sancho, who they're linked with. If they sign two of these three players on top of their three attackers already, they might sell one, something might happen. But if they had them all in the squad, yeah, you could say there's a lack of balance. But at the same time, people, if they all said, cool, let's play, and Liverpool were going and winning champs and stuff, their players would have to concede that someone would miss out. The fans would as well. It's a squad game. First and foremost, it's down to who's in training and matches applying themselves and earns the shirt. But again, there might be games where Liverpool, and I know Liverpool fans probably getting excited at this prospect, they're going with a Sancho, they're going with Fekir, who I used before remembering Sancho, or if Kylian came. Imagine they signed Mbappe, that would probably confuse the whole of their front three, sorry. The logical option would be obviously to move Firmino back, but let's just say that deal for Fekir went through, people. Do you get it? Someone would have to miss out in a certain game. If Sancho came on the left-hand side, Mane, that's Mane's spot, forgive me if I'm wrong, Liverpool fans. Someone would have to miss out somewhere along the lines. Do you get what I'm saying, people? Obviously, people can play all over the place, but my point is it's a squad game, and I do think fans, we need to, as much as we are right to and myself included, to ask questions of management, people above management, the players, and all of these sort of things that go into supporting a club or just being a lover of football. We do need to check ourselves a bit, in my humble opinion, people. Like I said, our concerns are warranted, so please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm just saying we can't always take, and we have to give and take sometimes. We have to think, sometimes stop ourselves and saying, yo, are we moving a bit mad? That's all I'm kind of saying. It is what it is in that regards. On that note, people, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to get out of here. Deluded, I'm out.